All right. What's up, crew? Dustin Jones here. Welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show, brought to you by the Institute of Clinical Excellence. Today is Wednesday, where we are going to talk about all things older adults. In particular, it is time, my friends, to redeem the NuStep. It is time to redeem that $5,000, 12 and a half square foot piece of equipment to better use it for our patients and the folks that are walking through your doors. Before we get into the goods and talk about how to leverage a NuStep, who it may be good for, who it may not be good for, I want to give a couple quick announcements. One, our next online cohort of Modern Management of the Older Adult Essential Foundations is kicking off tonight, Wednesday, March 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a few seats left, so if you're wanting to hop into that cohort, I would do that sooner than later. If you have any questions, feel free to drop any comments. 16 CEUs for PTs and OTs. We also have a lot of live courses coming your all's way throughout the next few months, this year in particular, but definitely the next few months. This weekend, I want to give a special shout out to Julie Brower. She is in Milwaukee for MMOA Live this upcoming weekend, March 4th and 5th, and this is her first solo course as lead. Bravo, Julie. Everyone give Julie a fist bump, a high five. Just leave her a comment. This is a huge weekend for her and ICE and MOA in general. We're super pumped for her. Awesome. All right, let's get into the goods. Redeeming the NuStep. All right, I love this topic because I've got some baggage related to this piece of equipment. See, I've spent some time in outpatient, in assisted living facilities, in skilled nursing facilities, a lot of time in home health as well. And my gosh, man, this piece of equipment is one of the most, I would say, underutilized and poorly utilized pieces of equipment in all of rehabilitation. That sounds counterintuitive, right? But I would say it's the most underutilized, but then also one of the most poorly utilized. People spend a lot of time on it, right? But I think it's tremendously underutilized for what it could actually do for individuals. We typically think of this as the documentation machine, right? The warm-up machine, the go check your phone or get a snack machine, right? All right, Betty, come on in here. Go ahead and get things warmed up for about 10 minutes. I'm going to go either finish up on a patient, use the bathroom, finish a note, whatever, right? And what does Betty do? Betty hops on that thing. She knows the drill, setting 4 on her seat. She cranks that resistance all the way down to 1. She adjusts the length of her arms, and she's just going back and forth, chit-chatting it up with everybody in the clinic. Betty is going at a very, very low intensity for 10 minutes. And she got a lot of great social interactions. I don't want to discount that whatsoever. But in terms of a true warm-up or any physical benefit, that may be questionable, right? And this is what is happening across the board in so many rehabilitation settings. And it can be rather troublesome. So I want to talk to two people. In particular, when the NuStep is good, when you want to have it, when you want to be able to use it, when are those situations? And then the other side, when is it an absolute waste of money, time, and space in your particular situation? All right. So when is it good? All right. And I think this is important for many of you all watching and listening, because many of you all probably already have a NuStep that is in your facility. So we need to make good use of this $5,000 piece of equipment that we've already purchased. So there are two situations that this NuStep is very, very beneficial, and in a lot of cases, more beneficial than other pieces of kind of aerobic-based equipment, if you will, typically where we would bucket the NuStep. One is limited mobility, and then two is with larger body individuals. One, limited mobility. So for folks that require kind of that contact guard, min, mod, even max assist, the NuStep does provide an amazing surface to be able to transfer to with that rotating chair. It's a big, wide chair, so you've got a lot of room to work with, that you can get a lot of folks on that piece of machinery. That's a whole different ballgame compared to something like a Rogue Echo bike, right? Or a Concept 2 rower, or a Concept 2 biker, for example, which is so prevalent in a lot of CrossFit facilities and a lot of gyms as well. The NuStep is way more accommodating to folks where mobility and transfer dependence is a concern. So if you're working with folks that are on that mid-mod, maybe even max assist range, a NuStep is going to be a potent piece of equipment for you, because you're going to get folks on there that typically be very, very challenging to get on any other piece of aerobic-based equipment. So that's the first one. I think it has a very good use in those situations where mobility is limited. Number two is with large-bodied individuals. A lot of these endurance pieces of equipment or ergs, if you will, don't have the highest weight limits. And the seats are typically very small. And so the NuStep has a weight limit of 400 pounds. And the NuStep, the seat is a rather large seat. So you can get all kinds of folks in there. Now, compare that to something like the Rogue Echo Bike that many of you all spend lots of lovely minutes, maybe even hours on. That Rogue Echo Bike has a weight capacity of 350 pounds. And think about that seat. For a lot of individuals, that seat feels pretty small. The cyclists that are listening to this probably think the Rogue Echo Bike seat is absolutely ginormous. But the vast majority of folks that I've worked with report that the Echo Bike seat is relatively small. The rower, the Concept 2 rower, is the weight capacity is great for that. It's 500 pounds, but that seat can be relatively small as well. They make accommodations to widen the seat that is really makes that piece of equipment adaptable. But out of the box, it's pretty tough for a lot of folks to get onto. That lovely C2 biker that I know everyone is buying now, that has a weight capacity of 300 pounds and one of the tiniest seats that you're going to see on an ergometer. That clip that restricts that seat post is nothing but a plastic clip, and 300 pounds is that weight limit. So you get a larger bodied individual on there, and that is not a very stable situation, and it's a tiny seat. So these common ergs that we typically work with, especially in the more fitness forward realm and in CrossFit facilities, they're not very accommodating to a lot of individuals of a lot of different shapes and different levels of mobility. So the NuStep, I think, is really good for folks that have limited mobility and larger bodied individuals. But the big thing with this is that the NuStep may be great in those situations, but it's still tremendously underutilized. And the big factor and variable that we need to really harp on is intensity. Intensity. We have such a unique opportunity with folks on the NuStep to have them do an activity that's using a lot of major muscle groups, right? A lot of upper extremity pushing, pulling, lower extremity pushing. They're having to work a lot. And with a lot of those muscles giving that effort, that increases that metabolic demand, that you can elevate intensity very quickly in a very short period of time. But what do we often see? They're just cruising, they're just chatting. The NuStep provides an amazing and unique opportunity to leverage high intensity interval training. And if you haven't experienced this on your own, I want you to do me a favor. If you're the one that says, oh, the NuStep is easy, oh, the NuStep is an absolute waste of time and money, I want you to get on that NuStep. I want you to crank that resistance to 10, and I want you to do a Tabata. A Tabata is 8 rounds of 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. I want you to absolutely send it on that first round. Look at the screen because you can be very objective with the intensity. You can look at your wattage. You can look at how many calories you're able to push-pull in that 20-second period. I want you to send it on that first round. And then the next 7 rounds, see if you can maintain that output. Once you're done with that 8 round, I want you to send me a message and tell me how you're feeling. Was that easy? No, it's not. You can absolutely send it and get an amazing workout on this piece of equipment, and your patients can too. And what I really like about this is that it can be objective, just like all the other ergs, but it's measuring wattage, it's measuring calories, so you can get a good idea of what someone's max effort may look like, and you can dose based on that. So they get it within a certain percentage of their max output, or their 1RM, quote unquote. So we can definitely leverage this better. Do that Tabata. Tell me how you feel. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Jeff Musgrave and I, we did a Tabata. We did a few Tabatas. One of them was on the NuStep this past week, last weekend at a course in Illinois. And we did a rower, we did a fan bike, and then we did the NuStep. And hands down, the NuStep Tabata was the hardest. Was definitely the hardest. So I'd love to hear your thoughts there. All right, so that is when we want to use the NuStep, maybe how we can use it a little bit better. Now, the other side of the equation, when we don't need to use the NuStep or even consider buying it. If you are not working with a lot of larger bodied individuals, if we're not working with a lot of folks that have limited mobility, if all of your folks are independent or contact guard, I wouldn't get a NuStep. It's $5,000. It's about 5 feet long and about 2.5 feet wide. When you do the math on the price per square footage, you're spending about $400 per square foot. And if you're in a small clinic, you know exactly how much space that you have and square footage you have. Do you want to be paying $400 per square foot for a piece of equipment like this that you may not leverage all that often? To put things into context for a lot of listeners, I'm going to read off what you can actually get with that money. All right. Just pay attention here because this is really impressive of some of the equipment that you can get for that same $5,000. You could get a Rogue Echo Bike for $850. You could get a Concept, C2 rower for about $900. You can get a really nice Rogue Ohio bar for about $350. You could get plates for that bar for $850. Plates that will go up to about 350 pounds. You could get a foldable rack on the wall, beautiful, with the pull-up bar that you can hide away whenever you're not using it for around $600. Oh, you need some heavier dumbbells that go past that 25-pound dumbbell that you have. You can go all the way up to 50 for $800. Oh, you want some kettlebells too. Kettlebells from 9 pounds all the way up to 53, $900. That right there, folks, comes out to right around $4,900. $4,900 for all of that equipment. Or I could drop $5K and buy a NuStep. Let's think about this, right? Obviously, your space, your clientele is going to dictate a lot of this stuff. But I think a lot of us just think NuStep is like this standard piece of equipment that we need to have, especially for like an outpatient facility. And I don't think that's the case. If you're not working with larger bodied individuals where those weight limits are a concern, if you're not working with a lot of folks that have limited mobility, where you're having to give men mod assists for transfers, you don't need to buy a NuStep. You can do a lot of the accommodations. You can get people a whole lot stronger. You can achieve amazing intensities on these other pieces of equipment that I mentioned. You can get all that stuff for $4,900 freaking dollars. A good use of money. And you can organize it in a way that is not going to take up a tremendous amount of space, which is a beautiful thing. So that's all I got for you, y'all. I want you to think about that NuStep. If you already have one in the clinic, keep using it, but maybe use it a little bit differently. Think about how you can leverage higher intensities with folks and objectify those intensities, and you're going to maximize that time on that piece of equipment. Yes, you already spent $5,000 for a 12.5 square foot piece of equipment, but you can redeem that NuStep. All right. You can still send it there. If you are thinking about buying a NuStep or you are in a very active clinic, if you will, don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Get that Rogue Echo Bike, get a rower, get a barbell, plates, rig, dumbbells, kettlebells. You can get all that stuff for less than what you would typically buy a brand new NuStep. Think about that. All right, y'all. Let me hear your thoughts. Reach out to me once you send it for a Tabata on that NuStep. I'm really curious to hear how that goes for you. I know it definitely got me good for sure. Y'all have a lovely rest of your Wednesday, and I'll talk to y'all soon. See ya.